Recording in progress.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Regular session of Goldendale City Council for August 21st, 2023. We have one council member not here tonight. Steve Johnston is dealing with the smoke as well and having difficulties. We need a motion to excuse Steve.
I'll move to excuse Steve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Steve Johnston from attendance at this particular city council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We don't have or do we have anyone here for public comment in this two-stage system? We don't have a public hearing tonight. We have our agenda and consent agenda, and we need a motion to approve, or if there are questions or comments, we can entertain those.
I move to accept the agenda and consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for this city council meeting and the consent agenda. If there's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll go on now to department reports. Goldendale Police Department.
Okay. As of today, we just received a grant from the United States Department or Deputy Sheriff's Association for a FLIR device, which is like an infrared scope. They granted that, so they've ordered it, and it should be here in 2 weeks. It's free to our department, so normally they're a little over $1,000 a piece, and so they were able to grant us that. So we're just trying to outsource research different places where we can get donated equipment. This is brand new, so it's a newer organization that gives out equipment, so took advantage of that. So other than that, things are going good. We're still just moving along. Hopefully at the end of the week, on the 31st next week, we get the second recruit back from the academy. I've started the hiring process for another entry level, and we're still looking for a lateral position to fill, and that'll bring us up to full staff. So we're going in the right direction. So hopefully by the first of the year, we'll be back on track. So.
Up and running. Good. Thanks, Mike. Goldendale Fire Department.
Just a few things. This month had a lot of volunteer events, I guess is the way to put it. We participated in the parade, both had a few trucks in the parade and helped with traffic control. And then at the fair, the rodeo, we did standby both days with our A unit. We did the back to school bash, and then can't think of my words, sorry. The Klickitat EMS and Trauma Care Council is working on spreading the Stop the Bleed training around the county as much as we can. And with that, a couple of us, Phil and I went out to Bickleton, right, Phil? Question where we went, sorry, Bickleton, and taught a train-the-trainer course so that they can take it and teach it to their teachers and
Excellent.
churches and stuff out there. So that's kind of one thing we're working on. And then we've got the CPR class tomorrow night from 5 to 9 that we still have open spots available, that if people are interested, they can register through Eventbrite, or there's a link for it on the fire department Facebook page. And we have the Spanish speaking class on Saturday as well. And then over the weekend, Golda Fire hosted the Puget Sound Strike Team. It was a part of the pre-positioning plan by the Washington State Patrol Fire MOE plan. Due to the extreme fire danger, high winds, and low humidity. They were supposed to be here from Thursday night till Saturday or Sunday, but they ended up being only one night due to fire originally in Yakima, and then from there they were sent to Medical Lake for a fire. But Chief Long worked with Chief Halm to have the strike team preempting any wildfires in the county. To their knowledge, this was the first time it's been done ahead of any wetland fires.
Oh,
So.
yeah. We sure have them now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, just is any of the city firemen going to state mode to Medical Lake?
Not at this point, we have not
Okay.
been to any.
I didn't know, I was just kind of wondering.
Yeah, we haven't been to any, we had a couple go to, like, I don't know if they were DNR or state mode, but just daytime, for a day, but I haven't had any.
Yeah, I just wondered, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll go on now to council business. And since Pat is not here, I'll present these items. The first one is a non-exclusive right-of-way permit agreement. And these are both things that have been discussed in the past by the council. And this particular one, there was a situation where Brendan Parsons had an issue with a problem of needing wastewater service at his home, and so the only way that could be done was through this non-exclusive right-of-way permit agreement so that he could put in the line himself. And it requires, in that particular step, it requires a permit. The permit is on the second page, and the third is the explanation of the action. I think it's on the other one that we have the permit, but this is a non-exclusive right-of-way permit agreement to construct a private pressure residential wastewater line that would discharge into the public wastewater collection system at the intersection of 3rd Street and Broadway Avenue. Mr. Parsons' wastewater infrastructure would be located inside the right-of-way and would parallel the south edge of the 3rd Street right-of-way to Broadway. This is something that we've discussed in the past, and it has staff recommendation to approve this agreement.
Well, Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to enter into the non-exclusive right-of-way permit agreement.
I'll second it.
Are there any questions or comments? If not, it's been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to enter into the non-exclusive right-of-way permit agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is the water service request for an outside connection request, and this has to do with the connection on 281 Pipeline Road. And they've met the requirements. You have the permit on the second page. And the main thing about the ordinance is that it requires for connections outside of city limits to have the permit presented to city council. And that's what's been done. You have the cost that's being undertaken to have this attachment done for a water hookup outside of the city limits. Any discussion or any questions?
I feel like we've had this happen a couple times where we keep saying we're not going to do any more outside connections until we have, I don't know if a meeting needs to happen or what we need to do, what committee needs to look at this, but every time we say we're not going to do any more, we get another one and we keep approving them. So I feel like we need to table this and have more discussion about it. Just my opinion.
Is that acceptable to the council?
Yeah, me and Lauren were just talking about that earlier too, because last time this got brought up to us, we were talking about concerns that we had with our existing water supply and, issues with some of our wells, and we were hoping to get a more clear picture of where we are, like Andy was saying, before we, do this again. I'm not sure what the staff recommends on it, but.
Well, I
Staff
think
just said they have adequate water supply to handle a house, so that's what they said before.
The other thing is I don't see here the agreement for annexation in the future, which typically every agreement outside of the city limits for water has an agreement that they
that's right. That's the
agree
first
to
part of it.
in the future not fight the annexation. I think without looking at the map, I'm wondering if this is just outside the city limits or not, that it can just be annexed in, and then that can be also weighed into the connections. Because there is a lot of infrastructure, we're gonna be paying a lot of water bills here, not necessarily on water, but the maintaining of the wells and the pipes, that's, we had discussed, that's gonna carry out to all the consumers in the city, having to pay their part on it, so
And we have
other people need to be able to be held responsible for that as well.
And one question I have, Mayor, how far out from the city limits or city line is this?
That's towards the end.
That's pardon?
It's towards the end, by Wayona, out that way past Ponderosa,
Yeah.
that
Also,
way
quite
up.
a ways out.
Oh.
Yeah, we have connections out there, and that's in between, I believe, 2 other properties out
Oh,
there.
oh, okay,
That's already connected to
Oh.
the city
Oh.
water.
all right.
So yeah, was that next to the ones that we last approved, that we discussed holding it after those ones?
Yeah, I thought we discussed moratorium on it. I don't think we actually put a moratorium in place, but I think we just discussed
Sure, Mark.
going that direction until we had a clearer picture of our water supply. Because the information we've been given is that the springs are producing less, the wells are producing less, we're looking at pumping water underground to storage.
Exactly, ASR.
So, yeah, I think we need to do some work on this.
Okay. If it's your consensus, so we will table this until
Do we make a motion to table it, or?
we should, yes.
I make a motion to table this item.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to table the water service outside city connection request until further information on the water system. Any further discussion or any further questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Who did the second? Sorry. I did. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
The next item on our agenda is the report of officers, and we'll begin with the report of city council members. We'll start with Andy Hom.
I'm good.
Ellie?
I've got nothing there.
Lauren?
Yeah, I attended a meeting with Pat and some tribal representation, and county parks, I believe was there, was a few others. And we had a random person come through and speak with us a little bit about some of the situation with people living down along the stream corridor and the Little League Park and some other locations around. I've heard several people bring this up, and I know it's a challenging issue that a lot of cities are facing. But we definitely need to address that, and we need to address that with some priority dates, because there's some other issues like getting signs up at the parks. It still hasn't been done. It's been over a year. Parking on Broadway, we have a motion on that no action has been taken on, and some other things have taken place. All these other things are just kind of let lie, even though council's asked to move forward with them. So we need to find out a way to prioritize their city business and make sure that those actions are being taken care of, rather than just set aside.
Can we discuss that as almost a checklist so we don't lose track of things?
Yeah, like an annual planning or semi-annual planning event. But with respect to the homeless and camping situation around town, we need to look at that, see what we can do, and take some sort of positive action, because while it is an issue that needs to be dealt with heart and compassion, we also need to think about how that affects our citizens as well.
Yes.
Because it definitely brings in an element, and drug activity and other things that people are uncomfortable with and have concerns about their children in the community. And so I'd like to get your recommendation, Mayor, on how to move forward with getting some legal recommendations and getting some action taken on that in the near term.
Good, because we had a long discussion, Mike Hussey, our enforcement officer, and myself, over this situation, because there are quite a bit of things going on there that we need to rein in, and between the shoreline agreement and other ordinances on that type of area of our river, action does need to be done. And I imagine it'll be referred to the committee first to get it lined up the right way, but we also are waiting for our lawyer, the city's lawyer, to weigh in. He's away for a week or more, And so we'll have that, not necessarily at the September 1st meeting, but right in that area. So it's already under discussion how we approach this. It's complicated.
And along the lines what the mayor said too, I did meet with Pat today.
Yeah.
And Mike Hussey, and he had some pictures of the stuff down at the shoreline lines. He went down and photographed all that to start the documentation with that. And so the police department's working with him to get some more teeth along the lines of, you know, getting that removed quickly. And so with the shoreline projects with that, with the other stuff, we'll take a little bit longer to get, you know, the legality part to be able to remove people from private property and different things like that. But so it is moving forward. So
Yeah, I think definitely set of policies like how to deal with it on public property, how to deal with our private property, maybe even notifications that go out to private property owners, so they don't have to sit and wait for people to realize and then contact the city. But
The property owner in this case is cooperating with the city. They are concerned about the same situation. So that's unusual to have that support and that action. So we'll have it more than likely on the next agenda. It'll depend on the lawyer and Pat's discussions to get that in line in the committee that will be discussing this item. I would think probably the, pardon me?
I'm behind on my calendar here a little bit, but I just want to take a look at the dates here. So you think we'll see that September 4th or by September 18th? Is that
September 5th is the
The
next.
4th is Labor Day.
Yeah.
September 5th or 18th at the latest, you think?
I think it may be September 21st, only because of getting the lawyer's agreement, the committee involved, and then if it can be at the 5th, we'll have it on the 5th. But it more than likely will be September 21st or 23rd.
Our next one's the 18th.
18th, the 18th. So we're aware that that's an issue that needs to be resolved fairly quickly. There's a lot of issues there.
Thank you, Mayor.
You
Thank
bet.
you, Chief.
Thank you. Dave?
Oh, thanks, Mayor. Well, yeah, thanks, Lauren, for bringing that up because, you know, I'd like to echo exactly what Lauren was saying. I'm on board with that. And because I've been hearing it all too often, people saying that they're uncomfortable taking their children to our parks for those exact reasons you talked about. And whatever we got to do, the signs I think are a good step. We need to get those signs up in the parks, you know, that they close at night. And whatever we got to do to make it so people feel comfortable taking their children to our parks. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear about that constantly. It's really heartbreaking to hear that. And I feel bad for people who are struggling with homelessness and everything, but we have to draw a line at our parks. They can't be taken over. Anyway, so I just wanted to agree with everything Lauren said there. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was I spent some time at the county fair this weekend. Thanks for everybody that makes that such a success. I really appreciate the 4-H and the FFA programs that we have here. You know, we're fortunate to live in a community that values our farmers and ranchers and our future farmers and ranchers. Without the future farmers, there isn't future food. So these programs are vital for our area. It's part of our heritage and so important. And I hear a lot about those programs being, you know, the budget cuts for those kind of programs in the school I've been hearing about. And, you know, I think it's well worth any support that anybody can hear me saying now to give to those programs. They're crucial for our community. So I support them wholeheartedly. Thank you.
We've had different times when the FFA members there, and I think also for 4-H, they're excellent young people, and they're a real blessing for the city. So we want to be able to support, continue that, I would think.
Definitely.
By whatever financing we'd be able to do with that. Thank you,
Thank you,
Dave.
Mayor.
Alberto.
Well, I am going to agree with Lauren on the code enforcement and homelessness issue. It's a health and safety issue. And I have a couple other items that I need to bring up because it seems like we discuss it here, we send some items to staff to handle, and things are put off based on their priority versus the council's priority. Like the signs, they were supposed to be made and posted already, and it just keeps pushing down the road. I think some of those issues can be helped with collaboration from code enforcement and the police department and the home and the property owners. If people put in no trespassing signs on all their big lots, then law enforcement can go enforce the no trespassing without having to, deal with all the other legalities, just, and they can talk to chief about what needs to be posted on that sign, including the RCW, and then they can enforce it. It's something simple that can be done without any code enforcement. The ordinance committee does need to meet, and I would like to have that done sooner than later. I don't believe I'm in that committee, but again, one of the things I've brought up before is the fire ordinance, the burn ban, which is not enforced by the police department. I've heard, again, multiple officers say they will not enforce it because it's not legal. And so having an ordinance that tells people we have a burn ban in the state that we are, that is not enforced over and over and over again, it just puts the liability on the city and the responsibility of that on this council. So whether health and safety is the priority of staff, it should be the priority of this council to handle their business. And so we need to have that done and put a deadline again. September 21st sounds like a great deadline to have all this work done, and Pat can get on board and get it done at the direction of council, or we find someone else to handle it. Just things keep getting brought over and over and over, and things are not done. The other thing that I'm waiting on, I know Steve has been waiting on, unless he got it by email, but still waiting on a budget report. And not necessarily a budget report that is nicely typed up and presented to us, but an actual printout of the budget, including departments and bars. I had asked that a couple years ago. It happened for a couple of times while Larry was here. But I have no idea where the city budget is, and it is my understanding that several department heads have no idea what their budget are, and that is all controlled by Larry, or not Larry, but Pat. So if we can get those, that would be great on a regular basis.
The department heads are given their budget, a budget report.
If we can get those, that would be great as well.
Okay.
So we know where it's at. And then, yeah, the ordinances, that would be great if we can get those taken care of once and for all. Chief, if you want to tell us, I brought it up with the previous chief to tell us what you need in the fire ordinance.
For the fire, I'm a little confused on what you're talking about there, because we will charge with reckless burning in the city of Goldendale. We don't follow the ordinance, but we go off the state statute. I know I personally have charged that.
I've been told by your officers that they will not charge them because it's not legal. And that's the same thing I told Chief Hunsaker before.
I will address that with the officers because they will charge reckless burning. I personally charged that, had a conviction from that, from the Redina Flock fire on the end of block there, and so it is chargeable, it is a crime. Anything in these conditions right now, if you had a fire outside, can be technically reckless burning, which is a gross misdemeanor state of Washington, so.
Perfect. And Chief Hunsaker had identified that it was a training issue, but I keep getting told over and over that they're not going to charge anybody with illegal burning.
Yeah, well, we do, and I will make sure that happens, so.
Okay, perfect. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Phil. Mylan.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Well, I just echo on what previously on the projects that we have been working on, talking about, and we need to kind of keep it going, and definitely we don't want to put it on hold, and which we're not. I mean, we have a lot to do, and then again on the fire ban, yeah, I kind of thought that was in it, but I think the ordinance committee could still make a special on that too. We can talk about that.
Certainly.
Make sure that the city is definitely in it, and that we follow what the county does. No, but that the state too.
Particularly, matched ours, I think, with the county, because it's a lot easier for people to understand as far as burn.
Right, yeah.
So,
Anyway, that's all I have.
okay. For the mayor's part, two things. One of them has to do with the airport development that we're working on. The fuel is there, but not yet completely operating. The equipment's there, but the wiring and some of the technical aspects are not completely finished. But that's making progress there. And the second one is to see the efforts being made by the council and city departments to work together. A lot of these things are issues that take a lot of time, or they take legal advice or committee meetings and things like that. But it seems like in most cases, people are trying their best to work towards a productive end on these different issues. And on the last part of it, we all are here tonight on a very high smoke alert. You can see the red eyes around the table, and it's not hangovers. It's the smoke is, and it's at a high level, and our level in this town is way higher than that. 100 parts warning. It's beyond that. So that's why Pat wasn't here tonight. That he has a severe asthma that took his voice completely away. He had quite a day. He was here most of the day, but it's just very, very difficult. So we need to help anybody that you see out and about to be aware, and particularly if they're having difficulties with breathing or with coughing, or to let them know this is something they need to stay inside for. It's the only thing, and very often most homes don't really have a filter system that will take care of smoke like this. It comes right in with everything else. So it's something we need to be aware of and be alert to, trying to help our fellow citizens in dealing with this smoke. If it rains in the next day or two, we'll have much better quality of air, but right now it is the pits, smoky pits. It's not like a barbecue place. Anyway, and Pat is working on a number of these things. I think you'll find that the workload is getting better, but also it's something that he's well aware of as we go through each day. We now have public comments. Anybody here in the council have an opinion they wish to bring to the council, or just anyone on the line or on the Zoom production have anything they want to comment on to the council?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, we will go on to requesting a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn City Council for this August 21st, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Is this when we throw the tomatoes back in?